Welcome to the Therapist Burnout Podcast, episode 85. Hey, therapist. Today is a quick episode. I am going to talk with you a little bit about rest. It's a personal one for me. So, as we're going into a new season, I know I talked a lot about structured rest, my framework that I developed from working with brain injury survivors and burnout therapists, and also applying all these things to myself. I come back to this all the time. And especially today, it's Labor Day. And for many, it's our unofficial start of summer. For a lot of us, it's back to a different routine or changing routines. And so maybe we're barbecuing, maybe we're glad to be out of the crazy summer and doing some kind of regular routine. But I think just thinking of the holiday and the deeper story for why we have Labor Day. So in the late 1800s, American workers worked an average of 12 hours per day, 7 days per week. There were things like child labor. There was a lot of good reasons why we have labor laws, which I hope we still will in 2025. I think starting this podcast, I didn't realize how much I would think about work, how much I would think about the construct of it, even. Of course, we need work to live our lives. We need work to have the money to support us. But I think our relationship with labor, at least in the US, and I think as a human race, has really changed since the pandemic. And so I'm kind of unpacking that stuff this month on my monthly deep dive, which is called The Shift on LinkedIn. And I've decided I'm going to bring some of that here to the podcast. Labor Day. Out of, I think Labor Day came out of exhaustion and justice. They organized, they went on strike, they demanded dignity, safe conditions, and time off. Labor Day was born out of that fight. And a recognition that humans aren't machines and that life must include more than work. Last month on my newsletter on LinkedIn, which is called The Shift, join me over there if you're not there. I talked a little bit about our need for sabbatical rhythms because life and work are demanding us to be constantly on since the advent of the smartphone. Really, it started when computers came out, that work follows us everywhere. So while we are not toiling in a factory, we are toiling on our computer screens. We are tied to our phones. We have pings that are telling us and reminding us constantly of work, and our bodies are responding to that. So I am thankful for those who came before us, but I'm also noticing in many ways that we are deep in a new struggle of work. And it's not coal mines or factories, but it's this constant buzz that is going in our mind that we need to go back to work. We need to respond to that email. We have a client that might be messaging us to reschedule. And even those of us who try to have the best boundaries, it is just insidious that it gets into our minds to go to work because work is always with us. So today, I just want to lean into this question. What if you could find rest? Even if you're in burnout, even if work feels impossible for you right now. And for me, I've had to claim boundaries that sometimes feel radical. I don't work after 5 o'clock. I don't work on weekends. It's simple, but I think in our culture, there's an expectation now that is unspoken that we are always available. And I think especially for therapists, I remember myself, especially building my practice. I felt like to build that practice, I needed to be constantly on. I remember several other therapists where when I started at the same time back in 2014. In 2014, when I started my practice, I remember even one psychologist telling me, "Oh, well, I got a new client because I answered that call right away when they were available." And that constantly being on, and I hear this pressure now from therapists that it feels like getting clients is really, really challenging again if you're starting out new. And maybe even for seasoned therapists who are finding there is a lull in their practice right now. I know that we need to work. I have that pressure too. I need to work to pay the bills. But I think figuring out how can we lay down work when it's constantly calling is what I'd like to think about. So Liz Gilbert's Substack is Letters from Love. And on her Substack, each week she has a different theme. So in a couple weeks ago, the letter was to ask yourself, what would love say to you about finding rest? And I wanted to share my letter with you. And this practice she talks about, she finds helpful for those who struggle with self compassion, with accepting love for ourselves. And so this is my letter about finding rest. Dear one, rest is not something you have to earn. It's available to you like your sweet puppy curling up on the kitchen floor. You can invite it in with music and dancing on your walks by letting your mind wander instead of optimizing every thought. By looking at the sky, remember that? Remember how, as a little girl, you wanted to be a meteorologist, how you loved figuring out the cloud formations. Remember lazy Saturdays, sleeping late, waking mid-morning, watching cartoons. I know this season is hard. You are holding so much, but gently rest is here. You'll find it in the warmth of the August sun on your face, and in the trees and the sky of Maine all around you. I know how much pressure you put on yourself. Let me hold your hand. Come sit with me on your grandmother's swinging bench. Time travel with me to a simpler summer. Shucking corn, shelling peas, and playing Uno with your Nana at night. You don't have to be responsible today. You don't have to cook dinner. I've taken care of that. Let yourself be cared for like your Nana would. We'll read Teddy Bear from Bumpkin Hollow together. Rest can be found with your kids too if you want. Slow down, dear one. I won't tell you life is short. You already know. You sit with that reality and it weighs heavy with shame and guilt. So let me hold it for a while because you are loved. Love, rest. I hope you enjoyed my letter from love about rest, about how hard it is to, even though we feel like it's something we need to do, it is available to us, honestly. I plan to share these when it feels like it fits within my theme, or I feel like I really want to share one with you. I probably won't have this be a video podcast because it's personal and emotional, and I have not done my hair today. So my hope is that you can find rest in this season as we're starting fall and remembering maybe that triggered something in you to remember what it was like to feel rest and how you can feel rest now, even if it feels impossible. All right, next week I'll be back. I'm going to talk with you a little bit about just updates to the podcast and what I'm working on and what you can look forward to for the fall from me. So that will be a preview next week. And I think that's it. So if you want to connect with me further, you can join me on the Therapist Pen Pal list. The link will be in the show notes, and I will be sending some updates soon. So if you want a chance to work with me, I'm going to talk about that next time. But if you want to be the first one to hear about it, the newsletter here is the first about it. So I will put that in my newsletter probably on Wednesday. So sign up. The link is in the show notes. Okay, thanks.